Now let's talk about insurance and blackouts. We've seen insurers saying they've seen a spike in claims because of power cuts. Some insurers reporting a dramatic increase in private residential claims through the impact of this intermittent power, especially the surges on household appliances when the power suddenly kicks back in. And we all know that the blackout's not going to be going anywhere anytime soon. So let's speak to an expert. Christelle Colman is the CEO of AMI Sure Insurance Underwriters. I hope I said that correctly. Christelle, correct me if I got the company name wrong, please. But are we seeing a lot more people claiming from load shedding? Is this because they're not prepared to protect their appliances against the surges? Good morning.
Morning, Gareth. It's Ami, underwriting managers. So thanks for asking. So, Gareth, we've been talking about load shedding and insurance for about 15 years now. And I think what we've seen over the last 12 months is, for the first time, a shift in the conversation coming out of the insurance industry from the insurers saying, we have a problem. Claims are increasing in frequency and size because the load shedding has increased in, we've seen an increase in load shedding over the last 12 months. And it's not that consumers aren't prepared. It's just that how do you protect yourself from this as it just keeps on getting worse and worse and worse. And it's important to remember that the electronic goods, the geysers, the increase in motor accidents are as a result of the equipment not being made to be interrupted all the time, the power. So your backup batteries, your alarm systems, your electric fencing batteries are not made or manufactured to be interrupted all the time, and these items are wearing down. Yeah,
I mean, I actually got home yesterday, and we were actually out of load shedding by about a minute when I got home, and my garage door wouldn't open because the battery is trashed. And I think I replaced the battery about 2 years ago, and it's gone already. And when I got someone out there said, yep, the battery isn't designed for this on and off the whole time. But when it comes to claiming, as we know, the load shedding, the blackouts aren't going anywhere anytime soon, Christelle. Are we seeing people's premiums jumping up every time they claim? Because you can have the surge batteries, the surge plugs, you can have all the protection in the world, but when we've got load shedding 3-4 times a day, inevitably something's going to break. Are insurance companies going to hammer us on our premiums because the same things keep breaking because of the load shedding?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the question. And I think it's really important to remember that insurance is built on the premise of sudden and unforeseen events. What we're seeing now with load shedding is it's becoming the norm. It's not sudden and unforeseen anymore. And insurance companies are thinking, well, is this, does this really form part of what we are supposed to offer our clients? But when we started out 15 years ago, it was a new risk. It was absorbed. Most policies covered it. Now we're seeing that some insurers are pulling back completely. Some of the large insurers have come out to say we're going to increase excesses on power surge claims specifically, and some are going to limit it. So we as the consumers and the ones that are on the receiving end of this, not just private homes, but small businesses, are definitely going to pick up some portion of the tab for these load shedding damage claims. And there's not much that we can do about it. What we can do is practice common sense, and I do think that is still something that is sorely lacking when it comes to insurance and policy holders. You were talking about power surge protection. It is not expensive. It's definitely less expensive than having an electronic item damaged and you can't claim for it. So make sure that you buy the power surge protection plugs. Make sure that you don't leave electronic equipment on when you leave your home. Gareth, we see fire claims. You think just about maybe my cell phone will be damaged or my laptop or whatever. But if you're not at home and those items are damaged and it causes a fire, your house can burn down, and we see that. So it's actually a physical threat. We are seeing an increase in burglary claims under the cloak of darkness because people are maybe not aware of how much more dangerous it is, and increasing accidents because there's no traffic lights working.
I'm curious, because I want to talk about the traffic light situation in a moment. I'm actually so glad you brought it up, Christelle, because you actually reminded me to talk about traffic. But you made such a good point now. For those who are fortunate enough to have security at home, whether it's an alarm, whether it's security cameras or both, if during load shedding or blackouts, obviously the power goes out, that means the cameras go off, the alarm battery is now also buggered, so that's going to die after about 10 minutes, and there is a break-in at the house. Can you claim back as a result of blackouts? Because the situation would ordinarily not result in your security cameras being off. Will you pay out if there's a break-in during blackouts if the security cameras, which are supposed to be on, aren't working? It's a complicated question, I know, but what happens in a case like that?
No, it's not actually. No, we have many cases like that. I mean, this is what we do. It depends on where you are insured. You know, not all insurance companies treat their clients in the same way, and not all insurance policies are created equal. But generally, and if we subscribe to the principle of treating customers fairly, we will go back to the client's history and see, do they set their alarms on a regular basis? Have they had their backup batteries serviced? Because that is something that you need to prove. That all electronic data is stored for a number of years nowadays. And if you can prove to your insurance company that you've done everything, you've maintained your system, you know, you set your alarm on a regular basis, then you have a case to get the claim paid. But we have many disgruntled customers around this. And I just wanted to make another point, if I may, Gareth. We must remember that the insurance industry in South Africa has been hammered over the last 18 months. It was the KZN uprising, the floods in KZN again, and then, you know, the increase in crime in general as a result of the overflow from COVID and economic conditions. So there's not a buffer to accommodate sort of these new risks that are coming out, and they will want to charge premium for it or not insure it at all. So it is a serious situation. And just your previous insert on the impact of the RAN on the insurance industry, it's just another angle to consider with motor claims. We import almost all the parts that we use to repair motor vehicles. So the hyperinflation on the cost of repair of motor insurance has been crazy. So we as consumers have a serious problem, and my advice to the listeners and the viewers today is take control of your situation, practice personal risk management, make sure that you protect your electronic equipment, and don't just rely on insurance, because that is becoming quite a challenging conversation.
And Christelle, I'm going to squeeze this last question in just as I start saying goodbye to you, because you mentioned traffic earlier as well. As I say goodbye to you, what's the story with car insurance if you're traveling on the road and you're going through what I'm sure is now thousands of intersections where the traffic lights are off, and you're now relying on somebody else to obey the rules of the road, and you're in a car accident? Hopefully you're okay, of course, but you have a bumper bashing at an intersection in blackouts. How does the insurance view that? Is it a normal bumper bashing, or does the blackouts create an external circumstance that can be argued for?
Well, absolutely. Your insurance policy would respond if your premium was paid up and if you obeyed the rules of the road, of course. All the circumstances are taken into account. But another, sort of caveat to consider there, Gareth, is that 7 out of 10 cars on the road in South Africa are not insured. Wow. So whether you were responsible for the accident or not, you're probably going to have to end up claiming from an insurance policy, and you will lose your no claims bonus, and you will have to pay in excess. So the advice is use common sense and be super, super careful, because people don't know there's an intersection if you're new to the area. It's dark. They're worried about hijackings. So, just practice common sense and care, and make sure you've got a good insurance policy, and you should be okay.
You should be okay. That's the key word. Should be okay. Go and check. Don't wait to get a car damaged and then find out you're not actually covered for it. Christelle, always good to talk to you. Appreciate your time. Christelle Colman, Am I Sure, as CEO, joining us this morning. It's little things you don't think about. Surge plugs and making sure that your car insurance is up to speed in case you do have to go through one of those intersections where not everyone understands, and we all know who they are, and they don't understand how a four-way stop actually works.